Welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. Right now, very happy to have on the governor of the great state of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, who is near the end of his term. It ends on Tuesday, and he has headed the most progressive governor's administration in New Jersey's history, as we've talked about over 8 years. Governor, nice to see you here.
Dean, it is good to be back. I miss you, but I'm very happy we could have this conversation before we leave.
I can't believe 8 years ago, I first met you. I moderated a town hall in Montclair. We were both children then. I didn't have
Isn't that crazy?
Then. And now, 8 years later, it's kind of remarkable how fast time goes, and everything we've gone through in those 8 years, though, as a people.
It's crazy. I think we were in a church together, as I recall.
Yep. In Montclair.
And we never could have predicted, any of us, what we would be dealing with. We knew that we had a big to-do list in New Jersey to turn the state around, but I certainly didn't have a pandemic on my list, or 2 Trump administrations sandwiching a Biden administration, or global conflict, etc. So it's been a wild ride.
It has been. When you look, we'll talk about policy achievement. You've done some great stuff. When you look back, what have you learned as governor from the people? From the people?
Oh, I learned a ton, and that's notable because I felt like I started with a pretty darn deep insight into New Jersey, both the people, the challenges, the opportunities. My wife and I had started a think tank 10 years ago, explicitly, no politics, just what does New Jersey need to do, and how can we contribute to that? But that is a foundation relative to the stories I've heard, the journeys we've traveled. We've been up and down this state. It's an extraordinary state. It's diverse as any state in America. It's got character, attitude, unlike any place on earth. I've learned a ton.
Yeah, people don't get it. Jersey is a special place in the best of ways, being a Jersey guy myself, where the state itself is so diverse. If you travel within it, from urban areas to rural farmland, that you can't believe it's the same state, to, of course, Atlantic City, where I go several times a year. People accuse me of having a gambling problem. I have no gambling problem. I don't gamble much. I just enjoy it. I grew up going to Jersey Shore. As an adult, going there is a lot of fun. So let's look back. When you were campaigning, you had a bunch of campaign promises. I read that you actually fulfilled 50 of the 52 promises. And there's so many things. And we've talked over the years about legalizing marijuana, to different reforms with credit card ratings, pension system, criminal justice reform. I don't want to say what's the one that makes you most proud, but what you think is going to be the most lasting, have the longest impact on the most people?
Dean, I'd answer that in a couple of ways. One, we ran on this notion of stronger and fairer. And then I added over the years responsible. So stronger is growing the economy. Fairer is shrinking inequities, mostly across racial lines. And then responsible is, can you be a state that people trust again? And I'd say what am I most proud of? We stuck to those guns. We stuck to those 3 pillars. We didn't really stray. Our mission, we didn't have mission creep, as they say in the military. Another way I think about it is we are and we were who we said we would be. We didn't give folks a bait and switch. And that happens a lot in politics, where you campaign on one basis and then you get into office and you do things in a different way. We didn't do that. And I'm incredibly proud of that. And I guess thirdly, we committed New Jersey needed to get turned around. It was reeling. It wasn't strong. It wasn't fair. It wasn't responsible. We said, you know what? We think we can turn this place around. And I think on all 3 of those, we stuck to our mission and we made a lot of progress. We're not perfect. We didn't get everything done, but we got a whole lot done when you look at the lens through those 3 dimensions.
Yeah, to remind people, Chris Christie was the governor before, right? And it was a difficult time with Chris Christie. I don't know what kind of policies he's got done, but you had a Democratic state legislature, and you were able to do this. And the expression of the slogan that you had the most progressive governor's administration in New Jersey history, and you said that, that's actually true. It's not like some kind of slogan. It's kind of remarkable when you look at it. It's in this time period, 2018 to 2025, that we've had the most progressive administration in our lifetimes, in our history.
Yeah, and notwithstanding my words before I got into office, I don't think folks would have guessed that would come from a Goldman Sachs banker who went to the Wharton School for an MBA, but it's true. I still to this day call myself a proud progressive and a cold-blooded capitalist. And I think we've proven that. And it's not just the most progressive administration in our state's history, which we're incredibly proud of. I'd put this administration up against any other in the country over this period of time in terms of the measure of progressiveness. So I'm incredibly proud of everything we've done. Again, we're not perfect. We didn't get everything done, but I'm really proud of what we did get done.
The one thing I had begged you to do was to foreclose upon Trump's country club at Bedminster, like to put like a Parkway exit, something, but you never did it. 8 years later, you got a few days left. Can we do
it? We never got there on that one, so forgive me. I apologize.
I began lobbying Governor-elect Cheryl already, so she's in for a time of me. Every time I speak to her, we're going to bring this up. So you mentioned being a progressive and a capitalist, and there are probably some people out there who hear it, especially younger people, might go, "Well, aren't those inconsistent?" Can you share a little bit about how they're not inconsistent?
Yeah, they're not. And I'm glad you asked. I feel strongly about that. The Democratic Party has a whole bunch of different lanes, and you've got a lane now that you've got this in New York City with the mayor, the Democratic Socialist. God bless him. I wish him nothing but the best. And you know this because you're a Jersey guy. As New York City goes, in many respects, New Jersey's interests go because a lot of folks live, particularly in central and northern Jersey, because of an occupation or an interest in New York City. So this is not to say I don't wish them well. The fact of the matter is you got to grow the economy. You got to grow your surplus. We inherited a surplus of $409 million. When I say surplus, I mean a rainy day fund, right, if you will, for the state. That is now just under $7 billion. You don't get there unless it's a cold-blooded, multiple-year effort to grow that surplus. We have more people living in New Jersey right now, more people employed in New Jersey right now, in both cases than ever before, more businesses in operation than ever before. You need a vibrant private sector that's growing in order to meet your objectives. And by the same token, you need to make sure that government is there for folks when they've got nowhere else to turn, that there are guardrails on the economy. Minimum, what you mentioned, minimum wage, when we were proposing that, you heard a lot of naysayers who said, hey, you're going to put a lot of people out of business. Well, that didn't happen. And we're now well over double, or almost double, I should say, the minimum wage today than that which we inherited. And as I mentioned a minute ago, we've got more businesses in operation than ever before. So I reject, Dean, these false choices. You can be and both, and I think we've proven that.
No, and I think that's important for people to understand. It's not one or the other. And, I live in New York City right now. You can be a Democratic Socialist in New York City, but still, it's not, the mayor is not anti-capitalism. It's not in any stretch. He lives in a mansion right now. I mean, not to be light, he lives in Gracie Mansion. They gave it to him. I'm not mocking him in any way from that. I'm just saying, like, it's not antagonistic. And I think in the end, it'll be fine in New York City. But, you talk about
and by the way, our early interactions with him have been outstanding. So we wish him nothing but the very best. We happen to be in different lanes of the Democratic Party, but after all, as you know, we're the Big Tent party. We take a lot of lanes under our tent.
And, people might not know this. Jersey is one of the most diverse states in the nation. It is crazy diverse. And now you've got Donald Trump in the second term literally waging war on Minnesota, on Minneapolis. It's unlike anything I've seen. What is the immigrant community in New Jersey feeling right now as they see this? And they've seen other ICE action I've had members of Congress, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, on many, many times about what's going on with her.
I mean, it's a harrowing year, the past year, for the immigrant community. I mentioned this in my State of the State address, and we have nothing but sympathy for folks. And as I said in my address, and I'll repeat to you, I want folks to realize that we know New Jersey is their home, that we have always supported the community, and we always will. You wake up in today's America, Dean, trying to balance two very opposite objectives, if you will. One is standing up for our values, standing up for all of our communities, standing up for all of our people who are being attacked without any good reason. on the one hand. On the other hand, you're trying not to start, World War III, if you will, inside of your state. So getting that balance right has not been easy, particularly the past year. This is a very different experience, at least for me, than the first go around with the Trump administration. And we try to get that balance right every day. We aggressively use the courts, and more often than not, we win. But it's not easy right now in America.
No, it's not. And, we've talked many times about the robust Ukrainian community within New Jersey, and you have a pin on right here. And in the last week, it's getting so little coverage, but there's been an onslaught by Putin's military, and people are fleeing Kyiv right now. And again, that's something that you wish for the good of the people who live in New Jersey, to make it specific to you, but in Ukraine, they're worrying about their families, that there'd be an addressing of that. And it's interesting because when you have a state that as diverse as Jersey, foreign policy, international issues affect your state very directly. It's not like reading about in the news. You have communities, all different types of communities.
I was just with Archbishop Anthony, who's become a good friend, who heads the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, which is headquartered in New Jersey and has jurisdiction over the entire world except for Ukraine and Canada. Wow. So this is a very powerful statement of how big and vibrant the community is. Secondly, I'm a former ambassador, in my case, U.S. ambassador to Germany. And I would just say this is not rocket science. This is certainly about Ukraine and their families, innocent families who are getting bombarded and killed. It's just an awful conflagration. What worries me is that Washington doesn't understand that this is about something even bigger. This is about freedom of the Western world and our way of life. And Europe, which is you never know it these days, but they are our biggest allies in the world. This is about Ukraine. It's also about a much bigger story. And I hope the heck we land on the right side of history. I'm concerned, I have to admit right now.
I agree. And being a former ambassador to Germany, a very close NATO ally, you have Donald Trump literally today. The idea of threatening our NATO ally of Greenland via Denmark, and nothing in the big picture, it's very hard to make sense of where we are. You said it's more challenging. It's baffling what we're living through. Who would have think when you were in Germany, I'm sure at no time it was President Obama that you were there. At no time President Obama threatened a NATO ally to take their land.
Oh my God, to the contrary. I mean, this is beyond words, beyond comprehension. I'm praying that somebody down there wakes up and says, Mr. President, this just isn't worth the candle. It's inconsistent with who we are as a country. It frankly is counter to the national cold-blooded interests of America. NATO exists for a reason, and that is it's a massive security blanket that goes well beyond our capabilities. We're the biggest dog in that club for sure, far and away the biggest one. We're existentially important to that organization. But for basically 80 plus years, this has been the bedrock of global security. Please don't mess that up.
Please don't. I'm talking about New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy. So in the last few minutes, let's come back to Jersey. So in these 8 years as governor, did you discover new places in Jersey you didn't know about that you're like, wow, this is kind of amazing, or I never saw this section or this community before?
Yeah, we certainly have it. As I said, we started at a pretty high level of knowing the state. By the way, it's why the film and television industry loves New Jersey. But other than a desert, you could get literally any look you want in a very small geography. But listen, we basically live on the Jersey Shore, but I'll give you one example. We spent an enormous amount of time at Island Beach State Park, which has been rated in the past, including during my time as governor, as America's #1 state park. That is an absolute gem in Ocean County. That's one example of many I could give you, but what an incredible state, what incredibly different looks you could get in a short car ride from one point to another. We love this place.
It is a unique place. So the state is in good shape for Governor-elect Cheryl. Have you been speaking to her, and any challenges that she has to take on that you think, not because of you, just because of the world that we're in right now, that are unique to this time?
She is a rock star. I was with her as recently as 2 days ago. We speak all the time. Her first gentleman, Jason, is a great guy. Both Tammy and I speak. Her team, her Lieutenant Governor-elect Dale Caldwell, our teams speak. So there's wide open communication. Listen, it's a tough world to have this job in right now.
Yeah.
You have, first of all, you got the stuff inside of New Jersey. The budget is the big annual event. So that's always a mountain you got to climb. I know it was for us. I'm sure it'll be for Mikey, but she'll get there. But the broader world, as we've just been discussing, I've been saying this lately, and I know Mikey will govern the same way. If the world were just everything inside the four walls of New Jersey, we would be just fine, both in our time, and Mikey will take it to even higher levels. But the problem is that's not the world. You've got, she'll have to begin to deal with the impacts, the awful impacts of the big, beautiful bill. We mentioned the immigration crisis, the global conflagration, including stuff that we're initiating. So there's a lot of, it's not an easy job. She is a star. She's already been an elected official, which I was not. I think that gives her a very big leg up. She'll be terrific.
I wanted New Jersey to build a wall before Philadelphia stole Saquon Barkley. So they keep him in New Jersey to play with the Giants. And I told Governor Shapiro that we're going to build, if you take anyone else, we're going to build a wall. I'm going to talk to Governor Murphy.
We tried in that spirit. We tried to convince the Sixers to come across the Delaware and build their new arena in Camden. We came close, but they're staying in Philly. But I think we got an A for effort.
No doubt about it. So I know everyone asked you the question, what's next for you? And I've read some of the answers, but I wanted to get it from you. Everything's evolved. What do you think?
I've got an unsatisfying answer in this respect. I literally don't know, and I mean that. And Tammy, if she were here, would say the same thing. The one thing we are going to do is travel and recharge and reload. We're actually going to leave New Jersey the night of Mikey's inauguration, get away for a bit, do a few trips, and recharge, reflect. We're not done. I'm not sure what that means. Public service has been really good to us, whether ambassador or certainly as governor. We'll see. We're taking nothing off the table, Dean, but I don't have anything specific to point to that's on the table.
Well, you've worked 8 years hard, but your wife is involved as one of the heads of the World Cup in New Jersey, right?
Yes.
That hasn't changed. So she's got to be doing that. Like, you could be vacationing all over. She's working.
That's the really notable exception. She is the chair of the New York, New Jersey host committee. And we have 8 matches, including the World Cup final, by the way, which will be viewed by a modest 3.5 to 4 billion with a B people on July 19th in East Rutherford, New Jersey. So that's the one exception. She's up to her eyeballs in that. It's a great host committee. New York City's a great partner. I mentioned Mayor Mamdani is a big soccer guy. Early days with him have been really good. So that absolutely is a big focus of hers and indirectly, therefore, of mine.
He's going to be, I'm sure, spending a lot of time at the events because he played soccer a lot here in New York in the recreational leagues. He's a big Arsenal fan. Yep. I saw that. So, any chance of a run in 2028 for president?
I take nothing off the table, Dean, but if you're a betting man, you said you go to Atlantic City a couple of times a year. Sure. I would not put much money on that bet at the sports book. I'll just leave it at that.
I'm doubling down. I think you're going to run, and we're going to be really excited about it. We'll see. Well, Governor, I want to thank you for spending some time here. We've chatted from the time you were a candidate, running for governor, through the 8 years at different times, re-election and more. I've had the opportunity to speak to you in person, and I really appreciate all the time you've given us. And you've done a phenomenal job. New Jersey is far, far better state today than it was 8 years ago. It's a testament to you, and there'll be a lasting legacy of your work and the policies that you've left for the state. So I look forward to chatting with you in the future about whatever you do next, whatever, I know you're going to be, you deserve it. Enjoy time, but then we'll chat again about what's going on. I hope you'll have time.
Dean, I would love that. And there are very few people out there who know New Jersey as well as you do, who do this with such good humor and really, really outstanding humor, and yet are deeply read in on the substance, the facts, not just in Jersey, but around the globe. You're as fair as they come. It's been an honor to be with you.
Thanks, Governor. Have a great day. Thanks very much. Take care.